So welcome everyone to the Friday Tech Talk. And like I said, this is our first talk of 2025. Today's guest speaker is the one and only Erik Gross. He is a co-founder of the Tech Academy and a senior .NET developer. And he's got lots of job search experience. Today's talk is called Using AI to Land a Tech Job. And Erik will he'll go over how to leverage the power of AI to enhance your job search and land your dream role. He will provide practical tips and strategies to help you stand out in a competitive market. And his tech and job search experience is invaluable for anyone trying to land a job in the industry now. With that, without further ado, Erik, take it away.
Absolutely. Let me share my screen. Can you see my slide deck?
We can see it.
Awesome. All right, let me move some meeting controls around. I'm used to using Zoom, not Google Meet. So if I mess something up, that's totally on me. All right, so just a little bit of background before we get into the meat of the slides. The term AI keeps getting thrown around a lot recently. But there are, at least 9 to 12 broad divisions of artificial intelligence. I just want to be really, really clear about what we're talking about here. We're generally talking about two types of artificial intelligence: machine learning and generative artificial intelligence. And machine learning is really valuable in analyzing tremendously large amounts of data and predicting future data and trends, and being able to stimulate the understanding of a human being in terms of working with tremendously large amounts of data and gaining insight from it. That's all machine learning is all about. But generative AI is at its core just a really cool tool that can predict the next most logical word based on what you give it. That's all it really does. You give it some text and it says, oh, here's a bunch of words that I think are logical to come next. That's all. So when we say using AI in job search, we're not talking about robotics or machine vision, which are also types of artificial intelligence. We're talking about machine learning and generative AI, like your ChatGPTs, Claude, and any one of 1,000 or more smaller platforms that have sprung up over the last 1.5 to 2 years. And we're going to jump right into some specifics here, okay? Let's start with the resume. Now, I'm going to have some specific slides on this, but I just want to stress that if you ever use a tool like generative AI tools like ChatGPT or Resume AI or whatever, to help you, your responsibility to review what they create and verify, one, its accuracy, but two, and this is most important, that it genuinely reflects the way you communicate. That responsibility is huge. You can get really sloppy and just grab the output of some generative AI tool because it looks good. And it probably does look good, but it isn't yours. It isn't you. And there won't be life to it, your life. So that's true for everything we look at here in terms of generative AI. But AI is fantastic to use for creating resumes, right? In particular, it's really good for optimizing your resume with the right keywords. Now, I know this sounds absurd, like you should just be able to communicate the way you want to and let your human factor come in, which is what I was just talking about. But the reality is that there are, and we're going to talk about this in detail a little later, some applicant tracking software, systems out there that they're very brute force. There's no intelligence behind them. It's just a machine. And if you want to have a chance of surfacing your resume to be in front of a human, It's just a fact of the matter that you've got to optimize your resume for those types of programs while still being accurate, truthful, and painting the right picture of who you are and what your strengths are and what you're looking for. Okay. Canva has gone all in on artificial intelligence. In general, I use Canva a lot. I really like their suite of AI tools, right? But in particular, they got a bunch of built-in templates. You can find resume templates in there. They're generally pretty flashy. A stripped down, especially in technology, a stripped down, low designer feel resume is going to be a lot better than some flashy thing with a bunch of colors and images that looks like you made it in 5th grade art class. So if you're going to find templates in Canva, my recommendation is to use one that's pretty sparse and spare and professional. But they have phenomenal AI tools where you can feed in your resume and it will feed back really well formatted Canva templates. Okay. Also, and this one's huge, you can tailor your resume to specific job descriptions. Now, this requires a little bit of organization in terms of your files and your different versions of your resume. But AI is very good at rewording your resume. But this is the part where it's critical. You have to review the tailored resume to make sure that the AI didn't invent some information, invent some data, right? And by the way, I want to apologize for the positioning of my camera. 30 seconds before we started the class today, my camera mount fell off the back of my table, and I haven't been able to get it, didn't get a chance to get it corrected. So it looks like I'm way over to the side of the screen, and I apologize for that. I just noticed the way I look in the camera. But on this this tailoring your resume, by all means, feed ChatGPT or Claude or whatever your generative AI tool of choice is, feed it your resume and a job description and say, please tailor my resume for this job description. But you have to review every single line of it because it will hallucinate. It will make up information. It will put in illogical things. But what it can do is it can save you about an hour worth of your time. And then in 10 minutes, you can, maybe 15 minutes tops. You can take 30 seconds to tailor it, and then maybe 10 minutes or 12 minutes to go through it and just make sure it's actually accurate. Okay. So, yes, by all means, use AI to craft your resume. Another place I found it very helpful is writing cover letters. Now, I've got a couple points here. They're very good for writing cover letters. Okay. If you will feed the AI a little bit of a seed of a story that you want to share, it'll generally do an okay job of including that. However, it will never be 100% you. And cover letters are your chance to really communicate yourself. So what I've generally done is I build a little bit of a template for what I want cover letters to have, right? A brief intro highlighting the top 2 or 3 things that are my strengths, what it is that drew me to their company or that role, a specific thing about that company that I'm genuinely interested in myself. Sorry. That I'm genuinely interested in. And that's not something AI is going to help you with. And then finally, a strong statement that you're very interested in, looking forward to hearing from them, right? That little pattern can work really well. And because you have a pattern there, you can probably feed ChatGPT 2 or 3 examples of cover letters and then say, I need a cover letter for this exact position at this company. Please write one. And it can save you like 10, 15, 20 minutes. But it's even more important to go through and make it your own, especially finding something about that company or some of the people that work there or something they did in the news or whatever, or the technologies they use, that you yourself, and I'll stress it again because it's so important, that you were genuinely interested in. something that just captured your attention. Write about those things in the cover letter. As an example, I really like writing. I really appreciate really good writing, especially technology writing, because it can be very boring. And about, I don't know, 10 years ago, I was looking at a job description, and I just looking at their website, clicked on blog, and I found a blog entry from their CTO, their chief technical officer, that was super well written and very timely, really well organized. I read the whole thing because I was drawn into it. I didn't mean to spend that much time. I'm in a hurry. I got to get a bunch of applications out. But I got done about 4 or 5 minutes of reading this blog post and went, that was really good. You better believe I mentioned that in the cover letter. Called out that specific blog post. Not because I was kissing up to him, but because it genuinely grabbed my attention. These things are important. All right. AI can also be really helpful in improving your LinkedIn profile. It's just the truth that your social media presence matters a lot. We'll talk about that in a bit here. In even more ways than just LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn does have an AI assistant. I haven't used it. I prefer just do most of my stuff in ChatGPT or Claude, just because I'm so comfortable with it now, right? But in particular, you can go through and find LinkedIn profiles that you really like, and just scrape all that data, put it in a little document, and then get ChatGPT or another AI to help you. Say, hey, listen, I need a really good, profile. I need a good headline, a good about me section, and here's 3 or 4 examples I found online that I really like. Here's my specifics. Here's my pedigree, my background, the kind of things I'm looking for. Give me 5 examples each for a headline and for an about me, and it's just an idea factory. It just kind of gets your juices going, okay? Never just copy it word for word. Unless you get really, really skilled at working back and forth with one of these generative AI tools like Claude or ChatGPT, you can spot ChatGPT generated content a mile away. And sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. But it does matter a lot in stuff that represents you. Again, your spirit, your life, the vitality, the things that are uniquely you have to come out. You don't want to look like everybody else because you're not everybody else. And your LinkedIn profile is a really valuable place to do that. And yeah, AI can help, right? Don't lean on it too much just for generating ideas, okay? This is where it can get super valuable. Super valuable. In my opinion, one of the most valuable things you can practice is getting put on the spot and being asked something that you aren't certain of. You should intentionally, on purpose, put yourself in positions where you're asked questions you don't know the answer to over and over and over and over again, and get better and better and better at, one, handling the fact that you don't 100% know the answer, handling it in an adroit manner, and 2, figuring out what the answer is so you don't get caught up with that again, right? In other words, the first time you get caught flat-footed should not be in a real interview. And yeah, at the Tech Academy, we have a lot of work we put into mock interviews, right? But you can use ChatGPT to do this really, really effectively. You can tell ChatGPT that its area of expertise is, in fact, recruitment and technical interviews in the information technology space, and that you want it to interview you. You can tell it, ask me what subject or job description or whatever that I'm interested in learning about, and then I want you to ask me questions and gauge how good my answers are. You can even get really nerdy about it and say, please, when you're evaluating my answer, please provide me some online references I can look at for further study, and that way you can tell whether or not it's hallucinating. Or you can skip all that and just go to like Interview Warm-Up or Mock AI, and they've done a bunch of that nerdy work ahead of time, and it can be worth the time, okay? There are some AI features in LeetCode and HackerRank. Have not tried those myself, but I know they're there, right? It's a limited utility, but you can, for example, if you have written communication, written replies to various emails to recruiters or whatever, where you've had to write, you could ask ChatGPT to analyze it. Here's the situation. I was asked by a technology recruiter to write up the following, data. Here's the question he or she asked. Here's my response. I never got a call back. Can you analyze this and give me any further insight into how I could improve this in the future? That kind of thing. Okay. You also, by the way, can do voice mode on ChatGPT and just answer a question out loud, answer a technology question out loud, and then have it evaluate how you did, which is pretty nifty. All right. Now, we're going to move to a different kind of AI. That's not generative AI, it's machine learning. There's a lot of places out there where you're not going to directly build or use the AI thing yourself, but you can take advantage of the fact that other people have built some stuff. The LinkedIn job search has tremendously good machine learning underneath the hood to give you really, really good recommendations, right? This is something I don't think enough people do, is mess around with the interface on these top well-maintained job search sites and just look at all the different options there are and filters and different search terms, and just look at the data from a bunch of different ways. And if you'll do that, almost an experimental, I'm an engineer trying to figure out, if I put the following inputs into the system, what do I get back out and how good is that output? If you'll experiment with it a little bit, you'll find that each of these major platforms has different things that work well with them to get you really good on-target results. Okay, and it differs. Stack Overflow has a whole job search board, and it is very much geared towards computer programmers with each little clickable item and how to filter it, and it's really a nerdy interface. Whereas Indeed, they try to make it very simple. 2 or 3 different things that it can learn about you, and it'll try to match you really well, and it'll keep track of what you apply for and view over time to feed you better and better results. But learn how these platforms work and understand that they're for the key ones, for the big ones that have some money behind them, you're leveraging machine learning and artificial intelligence, and it gets better and better and better. So visit those sites and use them. Okay. This second bullet point here. If you are doing a tremendous number of applications, and in particular, if you're trying to, whenever possible, design a custom version of your resume or a custom cover letter for each of them, if you have a decently organized system inside of Notion or Trello, and you've organized it by different companies or different industries or whatever, but if you have all that data in there, your customized resumes, your customized cover letters, after you build up a certain inventory of them, now you can use the AI tools inside of Notion to produce another one just like that, because that's your repository of information. Okay. You can also use AI to set up automated follow-ups and reminders, which is pretty cool. I found it decently reliable, but not 100%. I still like a to-do app myself. Okay. Now, let's talk about skill assessment and development, figuring out what you're good at and what you're not, okay? There's platforms out there that have some tailored learning plans. I haven't experimented with them a lot, right? I do like what Khan Academy is doing with their AI tutors. It relies on you knowing the right questions to ask, but if you've already been through a boot camp or if you've gotten into the industry a little bit, you're going to know some of the decent questions to ask. In other words, it's really rough if you're going from knowing nothing, trying to get up to speed. But if you already know a little bit, then these AI tutors are pretty good, okay? In particular, if you're struggling in your job search, finding a good place to do a skill gap analysis of any sort is super valuable. And frankly, ChatGPT can help here as well. You can lay out, listen, these are the kinds of jobs I'm really, really, really interested in. And here's my resume and the kind of experience I already have. What am I missing? And once you learn what you're missing, then you can actually help it. You can get it to help you design a learning path, and we're going to get to that later on. Okay. These tailored learning plans. Now, let me see if I can find this. I'm going to share a specific ChatGPT prompt I built a while ago. Give me a moment. Let me see if I can find this. All right. So check this out, and I'm going to share this actually. So I've used this with a bunch of clients, and I find it pretty valuable. Okay. Let me collapse, and here's the prompt. You're an expert software development instructor. You need to design a custom learning program for a student. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I've described what the program is, how it should work, what it should include, some constraints. Do not include learning resources from universities or colleges. And by the way, I'm here to tell you, if you want to learn anything about computer programming, software development, even, frankly, computer science, do not go to the learning resources from colleges or universities that are online. They are abysmal, horrific, confusing, poorly organized. They don't define their terms. They are, in short, an absolute mess. And so I put that inside my little prompt here, okay? This is where you fill in, okay, you might put in your own data inside here in the brackets. There's the technologies I use. Here are my learning objectives. Here's my career objectives. If you grab this, I haven't used this in the new version of ChatGPT, but this should be fun. All right, let's say you are let's just say they are a front-end developer, and they use HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, and the learning objective is they do in fact want to become a well-rounded full-stack developer, and they really like Node. They like relational databases, not NoSQL, and they're really interested in working in the cloud because they know that's where things are going. Here's the career objectives. They want to become a senior front-end engineer. It doesn't make sense. They want to be a senior full-stack engineer for a large corporation. They don't want to work for a small shop. Ideally, healthcare or insurance industry, but is that interests them. So if you put this in here, you recommended this. You recommended a free online course. So you have to like make it do what you want. Okay. A free online course from Harvard on intro to computer science. I do not want to use any resources from colleges. Please find another online resource to help in this area. And change only that part of the program. Okay, good. So pulled that out. Thank you. Yeah, the Odin project's fantastic. Okay, good. So there's your program, right? I don't know about you, but I would find that pretty helpful. Okay, I'm starting with some foundations here. I'm going to the back end. I've been a front end developer for a long time. I'm going to the back end stuff here. Okay, Node. Here's the topics. Here's some resources. Oh, look. By the way, that means Mozilla Developer Network. If you're not already familiar, bookmark that. Mozilla Developer Network is some of the best documentation on the entire internet. All right, off. And by the way, here's another thing I'm just going to throw out there. I don't need anybody to say anything out loud. Or maybe if you want to in chat, how many of you are looking at this and do not know what JWT is? Okay, good. Okay. So one of the things you could do that would like be a really bad idea is you could go out to, say, Wikipedia, and you can search for JWT. You go JSON Web Token, Java Web Toolkit. I don't. It could. Maybe it's this. Optional signature, encryption, payload. I want to fall asleep. If you don't already know all about authentication and security, which presumably you're trying to fill in gaps, right? If you don't already know all about all that, if you try to read that, you're going to fall asleep. So the other thing I created was this. A definition prompt. Let's look at that. Please give me a simple definition of the term JWT. In your definition, do not use additional technical terms that may be unknown to the reader. Instead, explain these technical terms inside the definition, provide an example sentence using the term, include an explanation of how the term applies to software engineering. If you didn't already know what JWT is, read this whole thing in full. Watch this. Brand new chat. Please define the term JWT. So I just want you to compare those two things. Again, let's say you were not yet familiar with the fundamentals of authentication and authorization and tokens. And you said, hey, can you define this term JWT? Well, how many people know what RFC is? That's request for comment, by the way. But let's it's down here. I recommend using this prompt a lot if you're learning technology concepts. I do this all the time, and I've been working in technology for a long time. So what was the one I just said? RFC. It relates to authentication. That's all I know. Request for comments. Document that describes how a specific technology or system should work. Come on. So use this. All right. Now, with all that said, and by the way, if we went here and we said, okay, we made this really, really nice custom learning program. Also in here, I built a lesson plan prompt. You can use this over and over again. Just please write a detailed lesson plan for, and then you can put it in. That one's much easier. So let me look at the chat here. I love this. I haven't been paying enough attention. Ooh, Roz, look at this. That's a fantastic prompt. Look at chat if you haven't already. Roz has, here's the prompt I used to score my resume. Super well done.
There are a good amount of questions towards the top of the chat, Eric.
Yeah, I'll get there too. Okay. Guillaume says, don't you have to double check the explanations or definitions that ChatGPT gives you? You can't really trust it. Yes, you do. I will tell you that when you're dealing with definitions for technology terms, it doesn't really invent anything. I mean, I've used it pretty much on a daily basis for 18 to 24 months now. And most of what I do is obviously technology related. And I've never seen it invent definitions for things. Now, when I've asked it to design a system, a complex system, and given it a bunch of parameters, so I'm really getting deep in the weeds with software architecture stuff, I've seen it invent some things, but not definitions. And I think the reason for it is that there's so much consistent data surrounding the definitions that are out there in its training database. It doesn't really need to come up with anything, regardless of the reason for it. I trust the definitions really, really well. And yes, I'm going to share that template in just a moment. Othman says, would the results differ significantly whether we're using the paid or free plan of ChatGPT? Not really that much, honestly, with these kinds of things. Even the free plans on ChatGPT are pretty darn good. Same with Claude. Okay. Go to the very top here. Roz asks, are recruiters or hiring managers really reading cover letters? Yes, they are. If your resume gets surfaced by the applicant tracking software, they absolutely are. If you've written a cover letter, especially if it's only 2 or 3 short paragraphs, they're going to read it. That question about crafting the cover letter, the recruiter or hiring manager would take note and trigger them to contact you. The chief thing I've observed over the last 20 years is that if you include a note about something you were personally interested in and it's genuine, that like it just cuts through everything. There's no canned formula to it at all. It's completely real. So I would recommend that. Often scared about talking about my hobbies, podcasting, that they will make recruiters think I won't have time to focus on the job. Okay, we're going to get to that. I'm going to revisit that. And by the way, Guillaume, thank you for sharing that. It's totally valid. Totally understand it. Okay. Let me share some really interesting stuff about that. I got to get back to, here we go. Okay. All right. Networking. Yeah, you could use it to help with outreach messages, right? But I would recommend just writing yourself. Okay. Milkshake is really great for scheduling follow-ups if you find yourself being forgetful. But it is, I mean, I put it here because you can do stuff with it. Networking to me is a very real world live communication thing. So I don't recommend using it that much. Here's where it comes in helpful. Okay. So personal portfolios, personal websites, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to go against the grain on this. I have a very hot take on it, I think. Even though you're computer programmers, don't make your own website. You've got much more valuable things to do. Just put something up there that you kind of like and represents you well, and move on to sending out more applications, more applications, more applications, more applications. I didn't say this at the top of it, but those of you who have gone through the Tech Academy know that the primary thing that we talk about 100 times more than anything else is if you're in the job search, you've got to be sending out applications. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 a day. No kidding. Send them out. So don't spend a bunch of time building your own personal website and making it perfect and blah, 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 and proving how awesome you are at front-end development and user experience and how this pixel's there and look at my CSS skills. Just get a site out there. So with that said, there's some really cool AI tools out there that will design your website in about 1.5 minutes and get it deployed in about 10 or 15 minutes. And then you can tweak it. You can tweak it because you know your HTML and CSS. That's a lot of S's, more than I think are necessary. But don't do it. It's a waste of your time. Okay. Now, what I do recommend using AI for is help in figuring out content to put out there onto the web. Now, I was not strong about this 10, 15 years ago. I mean, I'm 55 years old. I'm Gen X, right? Like when things started to get real social media, I was like, I don't want nothing to do with that, right? And I'm certainly not going to be like promoting myself as a developer out there. I'll have my Facebook page and put out stupid, nerdy memes on there and all that, but I'm not going to brand myself online. I kind of changed my mind about that. It's an absolute essential that you start to develop a personal brand. And it doesn't mean being fake or artificial. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It means being yourself, but being yourself in public. So, Guillaume, when you talk about this thing about podcasting and all that, keep on doing it. Absolutely. Promote it on your LinkedIn, right? People who are creators, stand out. Don't be afraid to stand out. And this thing about making the recruiters will think you won't have time to focus on the job. They're not thinking about that. Here's the thing about the technology space. There's very few idiots in the technology space. And by that, I mean, people are like, well, I'm going to take the job. I'm going to take my $120,000 a year software developer job. But honestly, I don't really give a crap about it. And what I'm really going to do over here is I'm going to build my, herb garden side business and spend all my time doing that. No, you don't have a lot of flakes in the industry. You really don't. They're here every once in a while, but it isn't a flaky industry. And so in my experience, your technology recruiters, your hiring managers, they're not going to go into the conversation with you and see that you're like active in, creating and go, oh, well, that's really what he or she's going to spend all their time on. I'm like, oh, wow, cool. An engineer who likes to communicate with and talk to other people and put stuff out there. Love it. That's been my experience. Okay. And I say that as someone who didn't do that for a long time and started to do a lot more of it. It is a career differentiator in a very positive way. So talk about your hobbies, talk about your podcasting, talk about your writing you do. Right? Like, yes, talk about these things. Be yourself. So AI can help a lot with that for brainstorming ideas and all that kind of stuff. But do not ever just take the content it makes and put it out there and go, yep, here's me. Here's what I want to say to the world. Don't do it, because it's not what you want to say to the world. You may have given it a decent prompt and it may have spit out something that like sounds really cool, but is it you? You've always got to go through and make it yourself. What do you want to say? What are your opinions? For example, there are going to be people that hear that opinion I have about like, don't make your own website from scratch, writing all your own HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And like, Eric, you're an idiot. Okay, got it. I'm willing to be wrong. I'm willing to have a different opinion. But I've got an opinion. I'm going to put it out there. Okay. So this part is really, really a very big, valuable thing with AI. Applicant tracking systems are just a pain in the butt, but they're a fact of life. If you have a job in HR and you know that for a position you might receive 1,000 different resumes, you're not going to have the time to go through all of them. You're going to be super happy you have an applicant tracking system that will surface the top 50 of them and you'll review those, right? So you can use ChatGPT on this, and there's lots of examples you can find on the web on good queries on how to analyze your resume, or JobScan and Resume AI. They've already got that built in. Okay, of course you're paying for it, but they've got that stuff built in. It is actually a really smart thing to do. But again, even if you use one of these paid services, you have to review the content and make sure it didn't hallucinate, that it describes you the way you want to be described. Okay. This one's also really big. Don't have some funky file format or a complex, artistic, awesome design on your resume. I'm sorry. You're not in the design business. That's not the purpose of the resume. The purpose of the resume is to say, here's who I am. Here's the kind of thing I'm looking for. Here's everything I know. And to say it, unfortunately, to say it first to a computer. You're first communicating to a computer in almost every case, one of these applicant tracking systems. I don't like it, but it's the fact of the matter, right? So don't get all super creative and awesome and fancy with how, great your design is on your resume. Besides the fact that honestly, no hiring manager cares at all, period, end of story. They don't care, right? You're not even going to get to see the hiring manager because the applicant tracking system, generally they're not made by the most amazing software developers, honestly. And they're very, very literal, except for these cool things that are coming out from the AI companies, right? So don't give it a complex design. So let's see what else. Yeah, that's about it. Okay. I've already talked about this a fair bit, right? Balance AI use with personal authenticity. And I'm honestly saying it's a 90-10 split. AI should be, purely AI created content should go out from you at about a 10% ratio from AI to real stuff that you made. Now, that doesn't mean you have to write 90% of your stuff from scratch. I find myself creating about probably 85 to 95% of the content that I need to make across all different areas I work in. I start with an AI rough draft on everything. I'm getting really, really good at crafting the prompts. I was really horrible at first, and I did a lot of study of how to do really good prompts. But almost every time, I'm going to use AI to create the first draft of it. But I'm going to go through that like a nerd with a fine-tooth comb and tweak, right? Because I know how I like to communicate. Some things I don't care much about. Some things I care about, unfortunately, way too much, and I won't shut up about them, okay? But that stuff matters. So I already talked about avoid over-reliance on AI-generated content. You have to understand, and you've got to keep up with AI, and particularly in the area of employment, and understand, are there new tools that recruiters are using? Okay. If, for example, there was a really well-written article about new AI tools that recruiters were using, I would take that, copy it into a PDF, feed it into ChatGPT, and say, here's my current resume. Here's the job position I'm trying to apply for. Can you review the content of this PDF and give me a resume optimized for this new tool that seems to be popular out there? Okay. There you go. So, yeah, AI can streamline your job search processes, right? You have to combine your personal effort with the use of artificial intelligence. And this is just the real big thing. Okay. It says continue improving skills and refining your tools. I'm not like the world's wisest guy at all, like in a lot of different areas. But in the area of technology, I've managed to like pay attention to a few things along the way. I've been programming computers since 1981. Okay. Generative AI is the biggest thing that's happened in the last 50 years in technology. It's actually not even close. And I say that having lived through the birth of the internet and the World Wide Web, which was a massive, massive transformational influence on the entire world. And those pale in comparison to what generative AI is going to do and is doing already. You have to be paying attention to this area. If you have some sort of like reason you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. It like absolutely isn't going away. So learn it, understand it. If you didn't do one of our AI boot camps, but you want to know more about the area, we have an AI course, right? That's standalone that you can do. And you've just got to dive in and learn these things because they're becoming absolutely expected for technology professionals. So there you go. I hope this helps. I'm going to share that stuff with you right now. So let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to make a copy of that document in my public drive, and then I'm going to put it in the chat. So give me just a moment to do that. All right. Oh, it is in open access. Yay. All right. Let me grab the link, put this into chat, and you all tell me whether you can access this or not. Let me know if that opened up. Married, you had a VIC-20? That was my first computer. A Commodore is a Canadian computer manufacturer. And in about 1981, they came out with a computer called the VIC-20. It was the first personal computer to sell more than 1 million copies. It's a huge, huge deal. And that's what I learned to program on.
That's some retro technology, all right.
Yep. Oh, hey, well, I'm retro technology.
Me too.
I'm looking at some more of these chats. I found the best format to submit a resume is PDF. The libraries for scanning through the structure of PDF are pretty well established and pretty stable. Ajia has a great point. Okay, I know I mentioned like Canva templates not working and everything. Besides the fact that they're too artistic in my mind. It's one of the reasons I stay away from them for resumes. They aren't a real standard format, so I would just go Doc or PDF. Okay. And And yeah, use a basic template from something like Word or Google templates. Those are great. And if and by the way, Guillaume has a good point, or Britain has a good point. They say do both for Doc or PDF. I mean, I have a DocX version and a PDF version of all my resumes, and if I'm given a choice, I'm going to submit a PDF. Oh, Guillaume. Okay, this is a bit beyond, and it's something we'll talk about in a future tech talk, but I want to at least address it to a tiny degree. Guillaume says, let's say I learn a new tech stack using ChatGPT, like you explained. How can I then convince a recruiter I have the required expertise, even though I don't have past experience in that field? I'm going to assume something here, or at least tell you the way I would do it. Okay. If I were learning a new technology and I was, getting some help from ChatGPT along the way, I would be doing it as part of building a thing in that technology. I'd be building something. Okay. I've done lots of tech talks in the past about how to figure out what to build and all that. So I'm not going to dive into it too deeply. But the point is, I'd be building a thing. Preferably, I'd be building it with another person or persons. And even more preferably, I would be building it in public. I'd be recording the meetings we have where we design and build and test and deploy the application. And I'd be putting them on YouTube or streaming them on Twitch, which I've done before. I'd be putting myself very visibly out there while I'm learning the thing. And absolutely, I'd be getting a tremendous amount of help from ChatGPT to understand things I didn't quite understand, but I'd be doing it in the context of building a thing. And if you go through that whole evolution, particularly if you're doing it with all of those points, building it with other people in public with a permanent record of it, absolutely you're going to want to put that on your resume as I have these skills. There's no convincing at all. You put it on there because it's true. You have those skills. And you replicated what the real world is like in working with other people to come up with a system and build it and deploy it. Not only that, you have visual proof of it, which employers and recruiters love. Hope that helps. Ajia, I don't know 100% of Canva templates work with applicant tracking systems really well. They are their own odd format with how because I've gone underneath and tried to customize what those things are. And they have weird different layers. I would just not. I'd rather not. Let's see. Guillaume also has a different question. He says, does going for certificates help out like Amazon Web Services Solutions Architect? I am very much anti-certificates, except in the area of the cloud. And having a cloud certificate, even if it's just a basic cloud cert from Azure, AWS, or Google Cloud Platform, if you hate yourself, yes, having one of those certs is absolutely going to be a differentiator in your career. And I would apologize for being anti-Google, but I'm not going to because they suck. Let's see, is there anything else? Eduardo says, funny enough, I just started using YouTube to make videos while looking for temporary work. Absolutely do it. It's so valuable. Okay, show of hands here, or just drop it in the chat. How many of you actually do any kind of YouTube video recording? Guillaume does. Excellent. Oh, several. All right, we've got 5 minutes left before I was going to end off, so I'm going to show you a little trick, and maybe you've already seen this, maybe you haven't. Okay, let's just go to YouTube here, and let's say that there's a subject that you happen to know a fair bit about, and you're like, you want to write about it, and let's say it's like full stack Node API development. And you have here videos. Let's see. This has 1.5 million views and 3.5 million subscribers. So let's just talk about this for a second. So Fireship is the channel that put out this video. It's the first one that came up. They've got 3.5 million subscribers, and less than half of them watched this video. Okay, kind of interesting. Same here. Look at that. About half watched this video.
So Eric, you're not sharing right now.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so not used to
Google Meet.
Yeah, I apologize, folks. I'll catch everybody up to speed on what I'm showing you, because this is a valuable little deal here. So here we are on YouTube. Can you all see this?
No. Okay, it's coming up.
Okay. So I searched for full stack Node API development, and here's this #1 video from Fireship. They've got 3.5 million subscribers, and only 1.5 million watched it. Same, here's one. This is sponsored. Okay. 3.5 million subscribers, only half of them watched it. But look at this. This account has 17.5 subscribers, 115,000 views. Well, that's interesting. So what I would do if I was like looking around for subjects to speak about, I would, let me pause this because I don't want it to go. I would take a look at this headline right here, and I would put it into a little list and go, okay, do I have anything meaningful to say about that? And I would record something that mattered to me and use a very, very similar title to my video. And the reason for it is probably pretty clear. His reach is pretty small at 17,500 subscribers, although, hey, it's all relative. But the video has 115,000 views. So clearly, something about this title and the content really, really impinged with people. It really worked. So it's just a real valuable way to figure out how to title your videos and what subjects to talk about. So hope that helps. All right. Let's see if I go back here. Stop sharing. Amy, what kind of career coaching? Any particular niche? I'm grabbing that in chat right now. All right, Amy, I just sent you an email. All right, let's see if there's anything else in chat. I love how involved you all are in the chat. You've been fantastic. Guillaume says, you really like using tabs, huh? You have no idea. Yes, I like using tabs. And what I really love is grouping your tabs like this. That's just so awesome. When Chrome did that, it made me very happy. All right. Yeah, I'm not really good at creating thumbnails either, Guillaume. I can't help much on that. Okay, good. Awesome. Yeah, Amy, we should definitely talk. All right, I'm good. I hope you all got something out of this. I enjoyed it. I loved how involved you were. And I think I'm doing another one. Let's see. Yeah, I'm doing 2 weeks from now. Oh, yeah. Leveraging recruiters and staffing companies. So join us for that. If you're in the job search mode or you think you might be in the near future, you should definitely attend that. All right, Rick, that's all I got.
Thanks, Eric, and another great talk. That was very insightful. We appreciate that. And that is our biggest talk of 2025. It is our first talk for 2025, but I think it surpassed all of 2024 too. That was we've got a ton of attendees, and that was really really insightful and really great.
Oh wait, so you're saying so it really was well attended. When you said it was the biggest one in 2025, I'm like, yeah, it's the only one.
Yeah, it is the only one, but yeah, it did surpass all of 2024 also. So
Oh, I'm glad.
popular, you're a popular guy, and yeah, your talks are awesome and really, really good information.
Well,
Yeah, we
I
will.
want to say it again. The reason this went well is because of how involved the people were. I wasn't paying enough attention to chat early on. I didn't think we'd have so much involvement. Thank you all so much for all the great questions. Okay, I'll shut up now.
Yeah, no, you make a host job really easy. Usually, I go through and I ask the questions at the end, but then you went through and did it yourself.
Oh yeah.
So you're used to doing these talks on your own, so I understand that.
Yeah.
No, that was really good, and we will have a talk next week, and we look forward to your talk coming up in a few weeks. Now, Adrian, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yep. Okay. So thank you everyone for attending today's Tech Talk, and a big thank you to our speaker Erik for sharing his knowledge and expertise with us today. And yeah, so we host Tech Talks every Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific time. In addition to these talks, we also offer other events, including free classes like the one happening later today at 5 p.m., which is also hosted by Erik. And also, you can check out our Tech Accelerator program. You can email us at accelerator@learncodinganywhere.com for more information. I'm just going to post it in the chat.
Can I make a
And we're
comment on that
also-
since I'm the one that delivers that?
Okay.
So if you're not familiar with the Accelerator, this is a program for people who, primarily for people that are already in or working on getting into tech. It's not really for people that are complete newbies and have never written anything or studied anything about code. And it's the biggest thing I can say about it is that the weekly workshops, you get a bunch of free courses and videos and educational stuff, and they're really good. But the weekly workshops we do, they're unlike anything else I do at the school in that there's no holds barred. It's open voice, open chat, open video. You can interrupt me at any time. We build things. We get our hands dirty. I don't like. I'm not trying to tailor my presentation to a specific early in career or in a boot camp learner. I'm talking to people as if you've been in technology, and I just throw so much stuff out in any one particular class. Well, I absolutely love it. So please join us for the Accelerator. And by the way, Roz asked anybody to get to the next topic beforehand. In the Accelerator, I've already presented on those topics of working with recruiters and working with staffing companies, and the videos are in there. So if you join the Accelerator, you can get access to those right away. Okay, I'm done.
Okay. In continuation with that one, we're also excited to let you know that we have a lineup of Tech Talks scheduled all the way into February. So you can check out our Tech Talk lineup here. Just gonna send it in the message or chat. So yeah, you can check that link and you can stay tuned on that one for more updates. And again, thank you for joining us today, and we hope to see you at our future events.
I see one final question here. Can I join Accelerator? Grab that email that he dropped in, the accelerator@learncodinganywhere.com. Just email in saying, hey, I'm interested in joining the Accelerator. They'll get you all the information. It's super cheap. All right, I'm done. Thanks.
All right, Erik, no, thank you very much. And we appreciate you coming out. We look forward to your talks coming up. And I highly recommend the Accelerator. It is really good and a great weekly event for learning and for just general knowledge in tech. So we will have the talk next week, next Friday. So join us then. It will be same time. And
Hold on. The meetup.com link isn't working according to Ross.
Okay, we will definitely get that checked out.
Okay, all right, thanks.
All right, and yeah, everyone have a great weekend. Thanks for coming out, and we will see you very soon. Have a great weekend. Bye all.
Bye all.